The 2026 FIFA World Cup has concluded, and it's now time to discuss the biggest performers of the tournament. This is our FIFA World Cup team of the tournament. Alrighty, guys, we've obviously seen some big performances. We've seen some players have literally historic campaigns. We've seen some guys maybe break out, and we've seen some things that were a bit of surprises. So I think it's time for us to give our teams of the tournament. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start up top, or do we want to start with the man between the sticks?
Man between the sticks.
I think that's a fair spot. Let's start off with the goalkeeper. And this, for me, when I was making my team, I think was one of the harder spots to really like have a nailed on proper starter. For me, I've honestly gone with Gregor Kobel. This is one where I've kind of went with the stats. He saved 3, or, they talk about XG expected or whatever. He had 3 goals prevented. On top of it, he was part of a Switzerland team that, although making it deep to the quarterfinals, not necessarily the best team, saved a penalty in a penalty shootout or a couple of penalties. For me, and I'm also just a fan of him in his game at Dortmund, thought he was probably the best for me. But honorable mention for me was Diego Costa from Portugal. And then if you want to throw Vozinha, we'll give Vozinha as like a vibes pick. Pooch, who was your goalkeeper of the tournament?
I'm going to go a different way. I think Pickford, and not maybe statistically, but more just vibes and big moments that I can remember. I think in Mexico City, 80,000 fans against you, and coming up with like something crazy like 14, 15 saves in that one. He kept them in a few other games like the DR Congo game.
Even against
maybe
Argentina, he was brilliant.
Yeah, so I think he had a really, really good tournament. And I also like the fact that he gels his hair before the games because he says it's quote unquote his game face. So I'm going to go Pickford.
Okay. Rubio, who do you have here?
Yeah, kind of based on performance, I would agree with you between Diogo Costa and Kobel. I like Kobel too. He's just like, 6'6", big guy in that penalty box. He's going to claim crosses. He did it in the penalty shootout. He dragged his team to further in the tournament than people would expect. I think Costa showed that he is one of the top goalies in the world. I think Vozinha probably got the most out of this World Cup out of any goalie, raised his image the most, got the biggest World Cup experience. But I like Kobel there.
And quick side question when it comes to Kobel. Do we think there's a big move coming for Kobel? He's already 27. He's been at Dortmund for a while. I know that there's been some rumors in the past, but like when we talk about teams that need a goalkeeper, I'm surprised that more teams haven't called for him. I don't know. Maybe that's something we'll see in upcoming episodes here when we talk about our transfers and maybe some of our dream transfers for our clubs. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe Rubes for Chelsea. All right, let's move over to the back line. Let's start with our left back. For me, this was a no-doubter. Absolutely immense. I think put himself on the world-class stage. Marc Cucurella, unreal throughout this tournament. I'm thinking Chelsea.
Eats paella, drinks Estrella. That's fucking magic. Or his hair is fucking massive.
Pooch, did you go a different way here?
Nah, Cucu.
Cucurella was just unreal. Obviously, we talked about it a little bit earlier in our episode, but like his pressing, his ability on the ball, and at times with no Nico Williams, right, and Baena playing a little bit more centrally, him holding the entire left wing and even defending the way he did, absolutely massive. I think, although he had an amazing season at Chelsea, this probably put him right behind Nuno Mendes as the second best left back in the world, like solidified.
And I think every time he plays for Spain, which has been more of a functional team than Chelsea in recent time, he shows just how world-class he is. At the Euros, he was one of the best players of the tournament, had the game-winning assist. In the World Cup, epitome of consistency. I said it at the time, but I think Mourinho is just going to be so in love with Cucurella.
For sure. Any honorable mentions here?
No.
I mean,
trying to think. I mean, Nico
the only
really
thing,
started
I was pretty impressed. Yeah, Jed Spence came in and played well, but I wouldn't give him team of the tournament for that.
That's a good point, though, honorable mention. I can't even forget because I always think of him as a right back. But, I mean, Jed Spence was immense. Obviously, a Spurs fan, I've seen him do it before, but immense on that left side. And he essentially, I don't want to say shut down Messi, but for long parts of that game was going 1v1 with Messi on the left side and held his own, right, up until end of the game when they parked the bus. But that's not really a Jed Spence problem at that point. Let's go over to the right back, then. We'll just knock out the fullbacks here. Maybe a little bit more debate here. I'm not sure where you guys are linking. I'm going again. I mentioned I'm a Spurs fan. I'm a Spain fan. Of course, I'm going to take Pedro Porro. The Spain team, I feel like, really elevated its levels when Porro came in. I think Lamine got better. I think he obviously scores a massive goal in the semifinal.
The way he won that spot after coming in.
Without a doubt.
The way he won that spot.
The way he wins those spots. Yeah. What about you, Rubes? Who do you have at your right back here?
I agree. I think Pedro Porro, it's a Spain team that was historic, only conceded 1 goal all World Cup. So in my back line, I only have one player that's actually not Spanish. And I think Cucurella and Pedro Porro just did everything that you would ask from your fullbacks. Cucurella, like you said, at times even had to hold the width, but I still consider him defensive focused, just like lock down their best player. Pedro Porro, on the other hand, I mean, he's doing underlapping runs, overlapping runs. He's making it hard for wingers to track him. In that semifinal, Doué came in, instantly just had a lapse of focus. Pedro Porro got by him with a run, scored the winner, locked down that spot all tournament, still did his job defensively. I'll go Porro. I like, who was it for Colombia? We had in the group
Daniel
stage.
Munoz.
Yeah, like phenomenal group stage, but you get your money's worth in the knockouts, and Porro just continued to show it.
Without a doubt. Pooch, are you in unison?
Yeah, Porro, like Ruby just mentioned, I literally was just looking up right backs at the World Cup, just like thinking like, there must have been one better or same level. And I think the only thing I could bring up is a Munoz, but for the same reasons Ruby just mentioned, like you solidifying your team's spot in the World Cup final with a goal, just like, he's got a little bit of aura because didn't he steal João Felix's girl and then like body João Felix in like the quarters? Yeah.
And this
so
is
like
a
he's
Spain
got aura
team
in that way.
A Spain team that faced Ronaldo, a Spain team that faced Mbappe, Elise Dembele, Spain team that faced Messi. You didn't concede goals, you didn't give up chances. Take your spots in the team of the tournament.
Without a doubt. An honorable mention I will give, and it wasn't really in consideration, but I do think Hakimi had a good tournament too. They obviously go out in the quarters to France, and that final game I think really like tainted the image of Morocco at this tournament because of how poorly that game went. But I think Hakimi, I think I saw a stat that he had like the most progressive carries, or he's averaging like 7 per game.
I think most people are still going to pick him and Nuno Mendes as their favorite fullbacks in the world, but probably a couple guys that just did more for their team.
Yeah.
I also think like maybe like Denzel Dumfries could have gotten a shout too. Like
okay. Put him in your team then.
Who?
Denzel Dumfries.
I didn't say Denzel Dumfries.
Okay. Interesting. I must have heard something through my audio. There's sometimes
it
glitches on here. It must have been the wind.
It was the wind. My window is open. Somebody must have yelled Denzel Dumfries from the street.
Let's move over to our center backs here. You guys can do it how you want. We can do a pair, left center back, right center back. Let's
just do a pair. Yeah.
For me, we spoke about it. I'm completing the Spanish back line with Aymeric Laporte and Pau Cubarsí. 1 goal conceded, both complement each other so well. The way that they build up at points, Laporte dribbling, like we mentioned it again earlier in our podcast, dribbling sometimes almost to the other team's box. Cubarsí taking shots, which his shot against Leymans is the one that we put in the goal, win the game off of.
Yeah.
So for me, like just unreal levels. And at the end of that Argentina game, holding down the back line, 1 goal conceded. I don't know if that's something that will ever be topped. I don't know. I don't think you can not concede a goal throughout the entire World Cup.
Before this tournament, the lowest was 2006 Italy and 98 France with 2 goals conceded the entire tournament.
Wow.
So
I think
like,
Spain also only conceded 2 in 2010, if I'm not mistaken.
And this is with an extra game.
More. I literally looked at the start of the episode.
Okay.
So
I think it was like 3 though.
And didn't concede.
Yeah.
Exactly, Rubes. Yeah.
Who do you guys have as your center backs pairs? Pooch, why don't you go?
So I do agree. I think Cubarsí is easy 1A. I think the second one, I'm going to pick Laporte for the reason of such a historic run, but I think a Saliba deserves a shout because he was, I mean, you saw it once he got taken off in that game, France kind of did collapse defensively. And then I think a longer shot, but also should get an honorable mention, was Van Heck. I think he had, for the time that he was in the tournament, the 4 games, I thought he played phenomenal. He put his body on the line, like bloodied up in that Morocco game. Like he did play extremely well for that short period of time. So those would be the 4, but I mean, you have to do an all Spain back line with just how good they played. So
Rubes, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, I have Cubarsí 1A. It's just total football, impressive the composure, the ball playing ability, defensive ability. You mentioned the long shots. Even in the final, he ripped one. So Kubarsi 1A. I love the Saliba shout because I do think when he went down, that's something I worried about France, and he really pulled that team together. I actually really liked Lisandro Martinez as well. He scored a big goal for Argentina, kind of a Sergio Ramos type of vibe. He was also their defender that was progressing the play, being more of the ball player. I thought he kind of matched that Argentina edge that they wanted, where, they call him the butcher. He's flying into tackles, making key stops. So I really liked Lisandro Martinez. I originally did have him in Kubarsi, but I'm not going to hate on Kubarsi with Laporte just because it was such a historic tournament. They do deserve their flowers. And Laporte is almost someone where if it's like 4 years ago, I could maybe predict that going into this tournament. I don't know if I was going to be that impressed with Laporte, and it's like he didn't miss a step.
I was curious to see if he held the job the entire tournament. You have Mark Pubil on the bench. You have Eric Garcia, who's had a really good year at Barca this year on the bench as well. They leo out Dean Huijsen, who everyone kind of thought the future for Spain, and it probably still is.
Even
Kubarsi
the Ramon on Como is a good center back.
Yeah, 100%. So good on, and you said Jacobo Ramon, also Lenormand, who doesn't get called up, who obviously was massive at the Euros, started a lot of those games. So good on Laporte for showing his class. And that. Let's move over now to our midfield. Do we want to start with the DM or do we want to do a trio here?
Let's go trio.
Trio. This one for me, I mean, the DM is obviously for me, Rodri. Golden Ball, that's non-negotiable for me. He was terrific. The other two midfielders, I think, slotted themselves in. I was having a hard time arguing against them. Bellingham and then Michael Olise. Olise, for me, was the one I had some debate with. I was considering Dani Olmo, and the reason I'm considering Dani Olmo here is because despite not having the goals and assists, we spoke about it again. Like the impact he had on this Spain team was incredible. Pressing, his ability, like in creating.
At least 1-2 touch kept the play moving. All those Spain midfielders, it's like, I don't need the stats, but they just make the team tick.
Without a doubt. And he would press. We would defend in a 4-4-2. And he was defending as pressing as one of the top two strikers, him and Oyarzabal, and he was pressing his ass off. That's why he kept getting pulled in like the 75th, because I can only imagine he was gassed. But for me, like I said, Michael Olise breaking Pele's assist record in a tournament, like you just got to give him his flowers. He had a stinker of a semi, but I was going into the semi saying that Olise was a Ballon d'Or favorite, right? Yeah. I think he's still probably a top 5, top 10 because he had a ridiculous year. But I think that at the end of the day, performances in big games matter, and where he, although dropped it a little bit, I do still give him his flowers there. So my 3 is Rodri, Jude Bellingham, obviously Bellingham having a ridiculous tournament, and then Michael Olise. Pooch, who'd you have?
So I had the same 3, but I have maybe a few different players that I want to mention in terms of honorable mentions. I think first off the bat would be Odegaard for Norway. I mean, he finished the World Cup tied second on assists with a bunch of those players. Yep. I think Declan Rice had the most key passes for England. So he kind of was that engine in the midfield.
Rice was terrific. He definitely deserves a shout.
Like an underrated where he's not getting those stats where you're like, oh, he had 5 assists or 3 goals. But he did constantly provide that progressive play moving from defending to attack. And then lastly was Mikel Merino in terms of just those spark moments for Spain. I mean, without him coming on in those 2 games against Belgium and Portugal, I don't know if you guys, I think I have a good idea that you guys win it because you still won the tournament, but I don't know.
No, you're right.
How those games might go to penalties and then it's luck. It's 50-50.
Right.
He comes in and adds that spark. So those were the 3 kind of honorable mentions.
Without a doubt. And I think the Rice shout especially is a really good shout. He had a great tournament overall. Again, it's tricky because Rodri obviously wins player of the tournament. So you kind of just naturally slot him in. But I think you could also make an argument, maybe Manzambi, who played really well for Switzerland. I think you
even Fabian. If we're going to mention Olmo, we can at least mention Fabian as an honorable mention.
Having a good one.
Bruno G, similar to Olise for me, where Bruno G missed a pen at the end of the tournament, kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth, but you can't forget about how well they played. So I'd probably give it to Elise because he had those assists. Like,
Boadi from Morocco.
Yeah, it's a tangible statistic. So I like Elise there paired with Jude.
Was that your midfield three, Rubes? Kept in unison?
I think so. It's hard to go against that.
Yeah, again, I think kind of
like I know
itself.
Morgan Rogers, like the few sparks you saw of him, it's kind of like a new Zidane, Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo hybrid. Like you do want to put Morgan Rogers in that team, kind of gives you a Pele, Maradona, Mia Hamm type vibe, but
yeah, and even thinking about it, right? I mentioned Monzambi is probably a young player that shined this tournament. And Boadi, right, from Morocco, I think is another one. I can't really think of many other like young midfielders that were unknown that kind of like made a name for themselves.
Malik Tillman.
Malik Tillman, maybe, yeah, maybe not team of the tournament, but as a
but in terms of on more
young
of an international scale, like making a name for yourself, where like
breakout.
You're kind of like that breakout. Like, I think he deserves a shout. Like he had a really good tournament for the U.S. and maybe we're all ball knowers, so we knew about him. But like even for a casual, maybe in England, not even the U.S., like just a casual ball knower, you're like, man, this Malik Tillman guy's pretty good. Like
that's a really good shout.
And I do think with Jude, it is kind of a respect to his name because there was a lot in the media coming from Tuchel and from the media being like, oh, does he deserve to start? Does he deserve to play there? He showed how world-class he was. So I do think Jude does deserve respect and a shout out.
It also, this is something Tuchel did get right, is his positioning. Right. And that's such an important part. Again, we talk about midfielders, their positioning, their profiles. But for Jude, right, if you just played him as like an 8, I think you'd still have a decent tournament. But like that's not his best position. His best position is as that second striker 10. We call it a 10, but like as a second striker right off Kane, getting a chance to crash the box the way he did. And he went terrific. Same thing with even Elise. You could have, Didier Deschamps could have been like, you know what, Elise, you're a right winger, so you're going to rotate with Dembele. And instead he goes, you know what, in most of these games, we can survive you playing as a 10 and kind of going with the 2-man midfield there. But totally good shout.
And Odegaard is a great shout too, just because, you're not getting that far. Like the ball doesn't pop up at Haaland's feet. You still need someone to dictate the tempo. And I think Odegaard's experience playing Champions League football in the Premier League, being a part of a league-winning side, really helped compose that midfield. Yeah,
maybe Youri Tielemans for Belgium too. Gets a little bit of a shout in there. I think he had a good tournament. Obviously, gets the move to Man United afterwards. I've always loved Youri Tielemans, so I was happy for him.
You mentioned Xhaka earlier as an honorable mention, but somebody who just constant engine for their team.
Yeah, and an older guy, right? Obviously, what is he, 34 at this point? So 34. Still doing it. All right, let's move over to our front three. So I think 2 of these spots are locked down. I think there's one spot that could be up for debate. For me, my front three was Mbappe, Harry Kane, and then Leo Messi. There's no debate about Mbappe and Messi for me. Absolutely immense. We just know what they mean to their team. I may be a little bit biased because I love Harry Kane, but what he did in that game, who the hell were they playing where he had the 2 goals?
I'll still go with Haaland.
And that's where I think the debate is, right?
He's a blue just like his dad.
I think the debate really here is Kane versus Haaland. For me, I think I value what Kane does a lot off the ball, where Haaland, obviously scoring big goals. But I think a big narrative that starts starting with Haaland, which isn't used for me when he's at City, I don't see it as much. But here, I felt it. It was very much like Haaland stay up. And we spoke about it, pinning the center backs, having to create that threat. Kane was, he gets hit in the balls in one of the games defending. He comes back, he comes forward. He's obviously the captain of the team and all that. I just, for me, Harry Kane is a special player. And for me, that's why I took Kane here. Obviously, getting to the semifinals a little further and beating Haaland as well. They beat Norway. But what he did, what game was it that he had the 2 goals in about 2 minutes? The one where he turns and rips one, like...
When they were down 1-0.
DR Congo.
That was against Congo. I mean, again, listen, maybe
he
you
had
say it
a
was
header
against Congo.
and then he ripped a crazy shot.
But
Haaland had a similar versus Brazil where he scored 2 back-to-back header, where I said he sunned Gabriel, and then he scores from outside the box, and you're like, holy shit, Norway just beat Brazil in a World Cup. Like, what timeline am I living in?
Without a doubt. Pooch, I'm thinking you had Haaland too.
I did not. I had a front three of Mbappe, Messi, and Yohan Wissa.
Okay, and this is where the podcast goes.
I had Haaland.
He was in the Golden Boot race.
The Wissa Morgan Rogers link up. Oof.
Ooh. Any honorable mentions here? Maybe again, we talked a little bit about breakout stars. Maybe at the 9 that we really, I mean, De Ketelaere, again, a guy that I remember him as like a young player, having a lot of hype. He scores what, a hat trick against the US or 2 against the US, and then he scores against Spain, which again, we've spoken about that goal against Spain.
Scoring against Spain, though, is like a rich commodity.
He's going to become a trivia question. If you're at the pub and there's a trivia night, just know he's going to be a trivia question in about 5 years. Who is the one that...
You might need to help me pronounce his name then. I'm afraid to say it.
De Ketelaere? De Ketelaere? I don't know how to pronounce anything.
No, you're saying it good.
I don't know. Who else maybe?
My only issue with his performance was he did it for 2 games. Every other game that like I watched him play and I was like, he's kind of shit. Like...
Who else do you give honorable mention? Maybe an honorable mention.
Yoan Wissa.
Yeah, you're okay.
No, but like if we're like realistically, he did a good he got Congo to the round of 32. He was the one that scored those goals against Uzbekistan to get them there. He was the one that scored against, was it Portugal? In the first game,
I think so,
to tie Portugal. Like, he put the team on his back when Bukambu just decided not to play for 4 games. So I think like I'm like jesting, like kind of, but also at the same time, like I think he did provide a really, like, if we're kind of giving like underrated teams like maybe a shout, he would be one where I'm like he did a really good job getting Congo to a round of 32 to a knockout of a
Morocco
World Cup.
Striker who just went
I was
to
just
music.
about to say
Saibari.
Yeah.
He, and you saw how important it was when he was
came out and they looked way worse.
100%. It's funny, Rubes, as Pooch was talking, I was like, oh, let me bring up side body. So I'm glad you did there. And then, just trying to think again. I mean,
Quinones. I'm just looking up guys right now.
Quinones. I don't know if he played left wing or striker. Jimenez. Jimenez too. Jimenez obviously a massive. And I mean, Balogun is a great shout. Yeah, Balogun really announced himself on the word stage.
Do you think Balogun? I wonder if he'll get a move.
Maybe to Spurs. You can only hope. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're just talking about guys that scored goals, and you score goals.
Just.
Yeah, your guy, Elijah Just. But I guess that's our team. So, I mean, we have a little bit of discrepancy at striker, and I think, where was the other one? Maybe at goalkeeper, where we went 2 different ways. Let's also just talk real quick, maybe manager. For me, it's obvious. Luis de la Fuente.
Yeah.
With what he did with that team, it is just obvious. Again, let's maybe go with an honorable mention here for the manager.
For me, and you guys might shout me down at this, but let me get 30 seconds to get this take off. Thomas Tuchel. He screwed it up. He screwed it up in the semifinal, right? But at the same time, England finished 3rd, which is their highest World Cup performance since 1966. And I know it's still this team expected to win the World Cup, but when you have a team perform like Spain do, England doesn't beat Spain, if we're being honest with ourselves.
Yeah, like, I wanted us to play England more than Argentina.
Yeah, like even if they get to that game, they're not beating this Spanish team. Like we saw it 2 years ago. It was going to be the same thing that happened this World Cup. So the fact that they finished their highest position in almost what is it, like 60 years? Like, I mean, you have to give the guys some credit.
I was his biggest fan until the semis, and I do think there is a world where the players execute that and they continue to call him the bravest man in England. It was just a little too soon, and it was too big a moment.
I mean, let's go some other honorable mentions. One for me is manager of Cabo Verde. Obviously, the only team that Spain didn't beat, the only team that didn't, I guess, Argentina up until the final, right? They also were the only team. They held both of the final teams to a 0-0 through 90, or a tie at least through 90. Norway's manager, because again, we keep talking about Holland, but it's very easy. Like Zlatan, right? Like it was the same thing for Sweden, and they couldn't figure it out, right?
Solbakken.
Who's that?
The Norway manager.
Oh, okay. I didn't know his name. Honestly,
but I agree. That's a tough job. And I think he even made a tough call to kind of rest his players in the 3rd group stage game. But you go out and you win a couple knockouts, no one's going to care about that 3rd group stage.
I also think the Swiss coach.
Yeah, he does a great job. I don't know who that is.
The only issue with him is he, once again, too handsome. If he wasn't as handsome, they would have made the semifinals.
Yeah, Ecuador coach, too handsome.
Too handsome.
Too handsome. I would say as well.
They can't focus in training. It's like when you have a crush on the teacher.
100%. Ancelotti for Brazil. I think he honestly. Here's why I say Ancelotti for Brazil, because for me, Brazil,
You gotta beat Norway.
Yeah.
You have to.
I guess you have to be Norway, but I saw that kind of coming in the sense
I
of
saw it coming, but that's why it's again like it's your job as the manager. If you think, okay, we can achieve this, make me 10% better, and it's just like, I don't know, it
All
wasn't good enough.
Let's talk about some stinkers from the World Cup then. Just a couple, maybe
Ronald
3 players.
Koeman.
Yeah, Ronald Koeman's a horrible manager. They're gonna go back to Louis van Gaal. Tanzania coach. That's a tough one. Getting sacked after the first job.
Tunisia.
Yeah, Tanzania. That's a whole different country.
Okay,
That's a different country.
I fuck up one time. No,
I didn't bring it up. I was going to roll with it. I knew exactly what you were talking about.
South Korea manager, absolute stinker.
Yeah.
That team should have got out of the group. Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah, I would agree
Thomas
with
Tuchel.
that. Yeah. He could still be one of the underrated, have a great tournament, but also be really shit for what he did in that semifinals.
I think that's being called rated, just perfectly rated.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who else had some stinkers.
Not
Probably
Poch.
Bielsa. Bielsa's coming in with a big name with
Bielsa.
Uruguay, and you expect them to play such beautiful football. You get none of the beautiful football, fighting with your best players, no results.
Yeah. Also, going back real quick, just to maybe some honorable mentions, the Belgium coach, taking that team deep
Rudy.
with a team that we didn't really believe in. Rudy Garcia doing a really, really good job
we
with
were
them.
kind of massive haters on them all tournament, and then they just clowned us.
Portugal coach,
Yep, Roberto
Martinez. But
They
again,
are overrated.
yeah,
They put
again,
up over 0.5 XG versus Spain, dude. That's unheard of.
talk about someone who just doesn't ever get it right anywhere he goes.
What about the Senegalese coach?
Should have left
I mean,
the pitch when he had the chance. He should have left the
he
pitch
honestly
when he had
should've.
the chance.
There were reports after too. I forget if I told you guys this, but like all these reports came out at the Senegal FA of like basically the players having to like leave the hotel like during the tournament to get like McDonald's or something because like the FA wasn't feeding them and instead was paying for like hookers to like have, and then like the manager
Put him
just
back
being
in
like
the underrated. Put him back,
back
in
in
the
underrated. Back in underrated.
No. But that was like the leaders of the FA. Like he himself would like before the game be like, they'd be like, "What are the tactics today, coach?" And he'd be like, "Just go play." Like he was like, and they're like, "Dude, we're not gonna win." Like
Sometimes vibes are awesome. We could go through every manager, go overrated, underrated here, but that was our team of the tournament.
Where are we landing on Poch then? Last one.
perfectly rated.
Perfectly rated.
I would say
he's not
perfect.
over. He's not under.
I'd say
I'm not going to
perfectly.
blame him for that final game. It was player mistakes.
Yep.
But at the same time, like, they were just pissing down their leg. I wonder if there's something he could have done
Like,
to
Also,
give us a
Yeah.
mental
Also,
edge.
if we're
Perfectly
being
rated.
honest, the U.S. team in general, perfectly rated World Cup performance. They didn't overperform. They didn't underperform. It's kind of
And I
where
was desperate for that overperformance, but
Yeah.
they just...
I think
they were who we
slight
thought they were.
underperformance. Slight. I had quarterfinals the expectation. So I'm not saying again. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did too. My thing is though, they're what, like the 17th or 16th team
I think
like,
they're
ranked in
higher.
the world?
I think they're
But,
higher. I think
like-
they're like 12.
No,
Yeah.
they're not 12. They can't be that
America?
high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are ranked. I'll tell you
Going
right now.
into the tournament though, we might
Right.
be ranked 12 now, but going into the
Shout out
tournament, they were
FIFA
16,
rankings.
17.
Top 4 teams made the semifinals. Top 2 teams made the finals. FIFA rankings, you finally have done it.
USA are now 17. This was updated. Oh no, it showed me the full rankings. I have to see all 200 teams. By the way, the lowest rated team is still San Marino. This was updated. Oh, so those were our World Cup team of the tournaments. Let us know in the comments who you agreed with, what you got wrong, and make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Until next time, class is permanent, form is temporary.